A young Nigerian woman, believed to be in her early 20s, has lost her life in a devastating fire that broke out near the Madina Redco flat late last night. The fire left over 150 structures destroyed. Firefighters managed to save more than 200 nearby structures, including the Redco flat. The fire, which began around 11:15 p.m., affected a mix of 140 wooden and 20 metal structures, both residential and commercial in nature. The Madina Fire Station responded swiftly, arriving just 2 minutes later at 11:17 p.m. Additional support from nearby stations, including Adenta, Legon, Abelenkpe, and headquarters, was called in to help contain the blaze. The exact cause of the fire remains under investigation, and authorities are working to determine the circumstances surrounding the tragedy. Well, let's stay on this very inferno and engage the Divisional Officer 2, Desmond Aka, who is the head of public relations of the Ghana National Fire Service. DO1, can you provide more details on how the fire started and are there any leads on the tragedy?
Let me say good afternoon to your cherished viewers. First of all, I must say our heart goes out to the family who've lost their beloved young lady. We have always maintained that in situations like this, we have to be each other's keeper, so that a girl which was brought in barely 3 days ago, if she had had people around her, would have helped her navigate her way out to escape this particular devastating fire. But be as it may, the fire started around 10:50 p.m. But it took them well over 15 minutes to call us. And when they called us, the fire station is just a stone throw away from the affected area. And it took us just 2 minutes for us to be there. And you know, if we've been to that particular space, you would realize that that is a slum community. Their structures are closely knit to each other, and they are predominantly wooden, interspersed with metal containers. So we experienced some difficulties when we got to the fire scene. So we had to call in ECG to isolate power, and then overcame that challenge to kind of fight the fire from different angles, just to confine the fire to just the affected area. But unfortunately, because that lady who died through that fire is barely new to that area, and she did not get the needed help to escape that particular fire. She got trapped and got burnt. As I speak with you, investigators are the scene trying to locate the origin and then the circumstances that led to the fire. And so within the next few days, we should be able to wrap up with what actually led to this fire. But I must also commend the firefighters who braved the odds to even contain the fully developed fire. Before we got there, even within the few minutes that we were called, the fire had gotten out of hand. So strategically, we had to position our tenders at vantage points and then fight the fire in such a way that we could just close in. Other than that, the fire would have escalated and extended to other areas. So we would want to advise the general public that it is important that you call us on time. Once you call us on time, it also helps us to also respond promptly. If we had been called in a bit earlier, the extent of damage wouldn't be as we are seeing now. And therefore, we want to also urge the public that tendencies like contracting amateur electricians to be fixing and working on our electrical installation, must be done away with. Because a place like this, you could find the wires haphazardly connected. And that was the initial challenge that we had to go through by way of getting the assistance from the ECG. So we would want to plead with the general public. Fire safety is a shared responsibility. We have always been committed, and we are always trying to give out the contemporary and then essential safety information out there. So we beg the general public that they should kind of adhere to them, so that at least around this season where families are meeting and making merry and enjoying life, we could always have our peace of mind to go about our normal businesses.
Before I let you go, and I'm really familiar with this very area, and if I'm not wrong, there's been fire outbreak more than 10 at that very area. Do you think there's something that triggers fire outbreaks in that very particular community?
Yes, as you may be aware, this is not the first time fire had gutted this particular community. And therefore, I believe it is high time the local authority, especially the Madina and Kwahu Assembly, must take a decisive action and then, if possible, relocate the slum dwellers from that place. Because if we don't do that, it means that periodically we would continue to experience this kind of fire situation. I think it is high time that we relocate them. I mean, put the place in proper use so that things of this nature will not happen again.
Thank you so much. DO2 Desmond Aka is the PR of the Ghana National Fire Service, bringing us to speed on how the fire service managed a fire outbreak near Red Cove Flat, which has claimed one life. We'll stay longer on this very development and update you in our subsequent bulletins.
Now, the Western Regional Manager Forestry Commission Nana Poku Bosompem has revealed that the slum dwellers within the Kran area in the Western region were from Niger, Mali, Nigeria, Burkina Faso, Togo, and Cote d'Ivoire. Speaking on the key points, he noted that interactions with them showed where they came from.
In fact, when we were going into the committee, our initial assessment was that there could be some 2,500 to 2,000 miners in there. But we went around 12 midnight. We drove from our station and got to the community around 3 a.m. That's when the operation commenced. So when we started the operation, people started coming out from the slums. We launched a drone. I was the person launching the drone, and we're looking at the numbers, wanted to see which armed groups are prepared to confront us. But then you navigate the drone to the right, and you see volumes of people. You go to the left, another huge numbers of people. You go forward, people living and freeing the community. Then we realized that we are not dealing with that 2,000, estimated 1,500 to 2,000, but in excess of 8,000 to 10,000 illegal miners within the community. In our interaction with them, we realized that there are people from Niger, there are people from Nigeria, there are people from Mali, there are people from Burkina Faso, there are people from Togo, there are people from Guinea, there are people from Cote d'Ivoire. So that's what led me to make that famous statement that probably that slum, there appears to be a representation of ECOWAS.
Now, convener of the One Ghana movement, Senor Hosi, has called for an investigation into the circumstances where foreign nationals who are engaged in illegal small-scale mining created their own community. Speaking on the key point, Senor Hosi noted this is a national security threat that must be taken seriously.
It's a very established community, totally unmapped from what you say. It is very scary. I'm really questioning the safety of us as a people. And I think Ghanaians should be very, very concerned about what's going on. You know, I'm happy that the community has been found out. I'm happy to see my brother Eduji here, so he probably will shed some light on the legal parameters of this activity. But you see, sometimes, let's be real, while we do not want wrong to beget wrong, and in so doing, I think I wrote in my recent article that sort of navigates us towards a banana republic. In that same way, we must also realize that to attain sanity in the midst of violence, violence must be used to suppress violence. But it must be within certain confines. This is a very scary event. The foreigners can infiltrate our country, create a community on our land, take our natural resources, and we sit aloof and watch it grow to 10,000. Hey, Ghana, we have arrived, though. Very negatively. It's a disgrace. And what I really want to pray the president does is to investigate how come our national security apparatus allowed all this to happen. The persons involved who facilitated and looked by, I think that their conduct itself, in the world of thought, I believe, It's criminal negligence. You know, we can't do this. The security officers are paid with our tax money that we don't have enough to develop our own people. How are these trusts getting here? Where is the police? Who was in charge of that district? Were they aware? Did they ever submit a single file? Everybody responsible for this must be brought to book and be brought to book publicly.
Now, Olasewa is the coordinator and founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens Ghana. It's an environmental NGO. She joins us with more. Good afternoon, ma'am. Now, what is your initial reaction to the raid in the Western region where a slum community was discovered with foreign nationals engaged in illegal mining?
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me. I echo what the previous speaker said. This is a very serious situation, and Ghana seems to be going towards a failed state. How can you have a settlement in a forest reserve and we did not know, or if we knew, we didn't do anything about it? These are serious national security concerns. We're supposed to have the National Coordinating Council, or Security Council, where you have the DCE, have the police command, you have others. Is everybody saying they didn't know that this settlement was there? And if they knew, what were they doing about it? So for all we know, Boko Haram or Al-Qaeda could be in our forest reserves, and we are just looking on. This is extremely serious. And I'm a bit surprised that nobody was arrested. At least arrest a few people and try and find out exactly what is happening, who the ringleaders are. So it's a very, very scary situation. Not only are Ghanaians being poisoned, our water bodies being poisoned, not only is our forest reserves being decimated, not only do we face food security concerns, but we also have national security concerns. Parts of Latin America are such that you can't have the security forces going there because the drug cartels are in control. If we don't take care, the same thing will begin to happen to parts of Ghana.
Now, well, civil society organizations are insisting on a declaration of a state of emergency in areas affected by illegal mining. Are you disappointed that the president has yet to act on this?
Well, I'm astonished, but I would say that lots of promises were made in the run-up to the elections. The president promised us that when he came to power, he would repeal that law, LI 2462, which allows for mining in forest reserves. He has come, that hasn't been done. What has been presented to government is an amendment. And we are saying hashtag repeal, not amend. Drop LI 2462. So it is of concern that we don't seem to be seized with the importance of doing something about the dire situation we find ourselves. That alone is disappointing. Not wanting to declare a state of emergency when it's quite clear that we are going towards a failed state. When it's quite clear that the environmental terrorists are not only poisoning us, they're destroying our forest bodies. We still don't want to declare a state of emergency. I really don't know what the thinking is.
Right now, well, how does the presence of these foreign nationals involved in illegal mining complicate Ghana's fight against Galamsey?
You know, strangely enough, it doesn't complicate anything. Our problem in Ghana is compliance and enforcement. We know where the environmental terrorists are. Why are we not confronting them, whether they are Ghanaians or non-Ghanaians? Is completely immaterial in the sense that anybody breaking the law, Ghanaian or non-Ghanaian, should be dealt with. There are Ghanaians involved, even where they are foreigners sometimes. There are Ghanaians behind them. Why are we so afraid to deal with the environmental terrorists? And when they are foreigners, why do we want to deport rather than prosecute and then after they have served their sentence, deport? I'm saying that not just me, most people who are thinking are saying that we are facing a very serious situation. And the environmental terrorists are Ghanaians and non-Ghanaians, and all must be dealt with according to the law.
And lastly, before you go, we know that government's policy of only deporting foreign nationals engaged in illegal mining, how detrimental is that to our fight, and what signal does that send to the illegal foreign miners?
Well, what you are telling the environmental terrorists is that you can come to Ghana, poison our water bodies, destroy our forest reserves, and then what we'll do is that we'll pay for you to go back to your country. No accountability. And then like Aisha Juan, you can come back later on. They need, according to the law, the mining and minerals law, they need to be arrested prosecuted. They should serve their sentence. When they finish serving their sentence, then we can deport them. To just deport them without prosecuting them is sending a very dangerous signal. You are telling all foreigners that you can come and destroy our water bodies, and there'll be no accountability whatsoever. The worst thing that will happen to you will pay for your ticket, and you can go back to your country.
Right, many thanks for your time. Awala Sewa is the coordinator and founder of Eco-Conscious Citizens Ghana. It is an environmental NGO.
If you're just tuning in, you're still watching the Weekend Central here on TV3. In more news this afternoon, convener for the Media Coalition Against Galamsey has praised the work of security agencies in the ongoing fight against the menace. Speaking on the key point, he insisted government must reverse its stance of deporting foreigners engaged in illegal mining. Take a listen.
Now, as we say all of this, the people who are arrested in Abrewa Ninkrai, the foreigners who are arrested, are we going to be going by, that suggestion by the Minister for Interior? Minister for Interior that I have praised you on the issues, the way you're dealing with the police. Now you decide that you will spit into our face as Ghanaians, that the prisons in Ghana are so bad that foreigners cannot be there, but you would arrest somebody who steals plantain and some goat, and you go and keep him there. But these Chinese that are causing transgenerational disasters, you allow them to go. That these foreigners coming from Cote d'Ivoire and all of that, you allow them to go. I pray that even the bust that was done against Akonta Mine, those Koreans and Chinese are made to face the full rigors of Act 955. And Educhi, you are becoming for you. You will be one of the lawyers who will support Makafama for us to take government on for deciding that they will not go according to a law that has been passed by this country.
Still on the fight against illegal mining, CEO of the National Petroleum Authority, NPA, and Director of Legal Affairs of the National Democratic Congress, Godwin Edwiji Tamaklo, says the security agencies are working hard to deal with the menace. He observed that Ghanaians want more effort to nip the menace in the bud, but assured that efforts are underway to address the matter.
Look, I am saying that. Look, I have absolute confidence that President Mahama will fight this thing. Because, you see, these are things, legacies that he's taking over, and he wants to demolish that infrastructure. My brother, Senor, look, the past 8 years, Galamsey, it was terrible. You see, we have moved from the point of complaint to action. The actionable intelligence that led to the destruction of this community and the number of people, in fact, even the fear I have now is that without the benefit of alternative livelihood for these people, there's also another potential risk that we should be anticipating.
Which is what?
Now they have moved from here. They have to go and look somewhere else to resettle. So they are going to be, it's like a cell, cancerous. It moves through the other cells. And that is what this whole thing, and it's supposed to be a whole security arrangement where, with the greatest respect, you even need to profile the people and appreciate who they are, where they are coming from, the purpose of resettling them, among other things. So it's a whole conversation that we need to have. And as for the economics of it, it's about a numbers game. Look, the Honorable Dr. Omanebuama shared something on his Facebook page, very instructive, that for the first time, government is now following up on the chassis numbers on the excavators. And the whole idea of following up on the chassis numbers is to identify the owners of those excavators. So we are getting closer to the kingpins. The Honorable Defense Minister had just put out there in the public. That's the level of accountability and transparency we want to approach this conversation.
Views on how best to tackle illegal mining are welcome. Get interactive with us on Facebook as TV3 Ghana. That takes us to our very first break. Stay with us for more news updates.
Welcome back. You're still watching Weekend Central. Let's do some more stories now. And Paramount Chief of the Buipe Traditional Area and Vice President of the National House of Chiefs, Buipera Abdullahi Jinapo II, has described the abuse of opioids and other hard drugs as a threat to national security. Buipera Jinapo emphasized that traditional authorities must lead the fight against drug abuse in their respective traditional areas to support ongoing efforts to combat the menace. He is worried that the situation, if not addressed, will plunge the country into a leadership crisis. Well, we're going to stay longer on this and engage my colleague Christopher Mwako with more on this particular subject. Chris, good afternoon. It appears opioid abuse is becoming alarming among the youth in the north and the Savannah regions. How worrying are stakeholders?
Yes, so Judith, I must say that stakeholders in the northern and Savannah regions are worried about the increasing abuse of opioids and other harmful substances amongst the youth. The traditional authorities in these regions have been raising concerns about these abuse, and they have been calling on the security agencies in their respective traditional areas to, as it were, join hands with the traditional authorities and other government agencies in combating the menace. Now, the Paramount Chief of the Buipe Traditional Area and Vice President of the National House of Chiefs has added his voice to this, and he is saying that it is about time we take this issue as a national security issue. It's about time that the various security agencies intensify their operations when it comes to the fight against illicit drug usage amongst the youth. Let's take a listen to what the Buipera and the MP for Bole Bamboy have to say on this matter.
With illicit drugs, besides it being a national security issue, it is also a serious problem that we must all come together to tackle it. Because if we want to tell what drugs can do to especially our young people, those who we are all thinking that they will take over from us, at the moment they are destroying themselves. And when the citizens destroy themselves, when the young youth destroy themselves, then the country is being destroyed. But whatever we are doing, and you don't have somebody who will help you, then please forget. They are still not trying. Let's report them to the police. If I report or an offender to the police will take it more serious than if a paramount chief, you report an offender, especially drugs dealers, to the police. The police will take it more serious than an individual going to report. So the chiefs have a very big role to play in this canker.
It is one of the things that can destroy our generation. In fact, I watch some videos and sometimes you feel like weeping, where you have a group of them, even they cannot walk. They are so drunk that as if they are in their own world. How long can we continue with this? And let me say that those of us whose children are not into this doesn't mean that we should go sleep. Those whose children are into this act, a few months, a few weeks ago, they were not into it. So it is possible that a child could become a victim. Let us rise up now and fight to stop it. Then we will not get it expanding or extending to other children. Law must take its course. And so I want to call on other traditional rulers. I want to call on the media. I want to call on government structures across the whole country to see this as a national security threat. It's a national security threat because what they can do when they are in that state, an armed robber cannot do it. What they can do when they are in that state, even they can do anything. And so there's a need for us to rise up and stop it. And so I'm strongly in favor of anybody who want to clamp them down.
Well, Chris is still with us. Chris, we understand that some youth were arrested in a police swoop in the Savannah region. Can you tell us more about that arrest?
Yes, so in the Central Gonja district, that is the Buffet traditional area, some 25 persons were arrested by police 2 days ago. And in the Bole municipality, some 17 persons were arrested. And as we speak, they are in police cells undergoing some identification and some questioning before some of them will be released. The MP for the Bole Bamboy constituency has been telling me that he went there this morning to visit them, and he's told them that the law should take its course. Once the bad nuts are weeded out of the society, definitely will have a clean society, especially in the fight against opioids and other harmful substances. Judith.
Right, Christopher, many thanks for your time. Christopher Marco is our Northern Regional correspondent. He's been bringing us more details on the abuse of opioids in the region. George.
And I will shift our focus to where a downpour on Friday affected dozens of properties that have been destroyed after a rainstorm hit the area. My colleague Ibrahim Wangara reports that the intense hours of rainfall, accompanied by a fierce storm, tore off rooftops from buildings and left commuters stranded due to uprooted trees blocking some roads. And we'll be joining him shortly for more updates on this very development. Wangara is our regional correspondent. Wangara, can you paint a picture of the current situation in the worst affected areas like Bamamhu and Snit Flats?
Yes, the rains, as you clearly put it, starting from the premises of the Volta River Authority, VRA's office, where we have this restaurant called Dine-In Delicacy, was one of the places that saw its roof being taken off from the building by this storm. From there to Senate Flat, you will also see by the roadside thick trees which were planted years ago to beautify the premises or the environment. Also saw some of them equally uprooted, blocking places where pedestrians would have used to make their ways in and out of the business hub. It has also distracted electricity properties, talking about poles and meters, where as we even speak, the business hub is currently in darkness because some of these places where they needed lights to do businesses are currently out of light. So the situation is so dire and is very devastating. So residents at this moment are still in shock and disbelief about the short period of rainfall and accompanied with the kind of distractions it has caused to their properties.
Ibrahim, what kind of immediate support or relief have residents received so far, and how are they coping?
Currently, the residents or victims of this storm are yet to get any kind of relief from local authorities, aside the visit by the local authorities to the affected areas, and also workers or staff of VRA and that of fire service rescue team going to the places to cut branches of the fallen trees to ensure people have access to this road. Nothing significant as we speak have been given to victims in a form of relief for what they witnessed.
Okay, Ibrahim, thanks for your time, and we'll surely come back to you for more updates if we really want to do that. And Ibrahim Wangara is our Upper West Regional correspondent, and we're engaging on how devastating has been caused by a Friday downpour in Wa.
Now let's do some stories on Kwahu. Now, the Kwahu Business Forum is currently taking place at the Empire Social Center in the Eastern Region. MSMEs, investors, financial institutions, and other major industry players are taking part in the forum to build networks, share ideas, and promote investments. Well, the forum is being held on the theme, The Future of Business, the Role of the Financial Sector. Well, Michael Obodu from our 3 Business Desk is covering the forum, and he joins me with more details on this. Michael, update us on the forum and how it is going.
So it's been a very eventful session since the start this morning. The president a while ago delivered his speech, as well as the majority leader in parliament. Various financial institutions that were represented have taken their turns also to present the various products that they have up for grabs. But as you know, the core focus of this event is to address the major challenge of a number of businesses across the country, and that is access to finance. So this particular event, which started actually last year while the president was then a candidate of the NDC, sought to bring together various business leaders and financial institutions to basically judge on how to help basically the private sector get access to the needed funds to expand the economy and also help address the issue of unemployment in the country. The president in his statement reiterated his government's commitment to creating an enabling environment for businesses to thrive. He also emphasized the fact that his government was going to work to realign the financial system in the country to make access to credit more affordable. He also spoke about plans to turn their farm plains also into an agro-processing hub for the country. I have with me the Traders Advocacy Group Ghana president, who has been a participant in this program, to pick his thoughts on how the event has gone so far. Thank you so much for your time. What do you make of this program, and how much of a big deal do you think it is for you as business leaders?
I think it's been insightful, and let me take this opportunity to congratulate the organizers, and more especially to His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for gracing the occasion and fulfilling the promise he made toward the inception of this program. Last year you were here, he promised that should God grant him the grace for him to ascend into the high office, he will do it again. Yes, he has done it again. And it was so insightful, taking the speeches from His Excellency, the President, the Majority Leader and the Minority Leader. And me, a businessman, what's gladdest my heart, my happy moment, was them appreciating the difficulty that the Ghanaian businessmen will go through. The trust issue that we have in Ghana, that now you see a lot of people bringing expatriates to manage their business. I think it's something that the turning curve we should turn. Failure to turn that a lot of our people will finish school and they will come unemployed because of the trust issues that we have as Ghanaian. You employ somebody and within a week the person beat away with thousands of Ghanaian cedis. And how many business will be able to succeed when this trend continues to go on? So I think it's something that we should be emulating, something that we should continue to do. It shouldn't be a 9-day wonder. And the banks that they've been here, they heard what the majority leader said, what the minority leader said, and what the President, His Excellency John Dramani Mahama, also said. The way they give those facilities to our people, it doesn't encourage business at all. And we wish that they will listen to the advice from His Excellency John Dramani Mahama for them to give us soft loans, long-term facility that will enable a Ghanaian businessman to also do business. Bearing in mind that we have Africa Continental Free Trade Head Office here. And if I'm doing business, I'm competing, I'm selling in the same market with somebody who is taking loan interest rate of 7%, 8%, and 12%. And a Ghanaian businessman taking a facility and paying 36%. How can that Ghanaian businessman be in business? How can he compete with somebody who is taking a facility with interest rate of 8%? So I think, and I pray that they will keep heed to what the President said, the admonition, the advice, so that next year when we meet here, there will be testimonies about today's event.
Now, you heard the President also say that he believes that as a country we can move beyond just trading into the manufacturing industry. For you as Traders Advocacy Group Ghana, what do you make of this, and is that something you're open to consider?
Yes, it's something that everybody knows, but no country on this planet can do away with trading. Yes, every businessman is like a police person. The final destination of every police person is to become an IGP. So we start trading. Do the statistics. All those who are in manufacturing now, they started trading. So you start trading, then you move to become a manufacturer. Okay? So there's nothing demonic about trading. Let's establish that point. There is nothing. They keep on demonizing buying and sell, trade. No. Even if you have a factory, after you product, you need a trader. Okay? So yes, we heed to that advice, but do not let anybody demonize buying and selling or trading.
Thank you so much. It will be important to also stress that as we speak at the moment, there are more than 10 banks and financial institutions currently representing here with their stands basically set up and up displaying basically the products that they have for all the various businesses and SMEs in the country at the moment. I still have with me the head of business development at the Ghana Union of Traders Association. Thank you so much for your time as well. Tell us, what do you make of this event so far and what are your initial impressions?
Yeah, thank you. It's Business and Economic Bureau head. All right. Very impressive. The future of every country depends on business, that's local businesses. So having such an engagement to reignite our importance in economic play, I think is very important. But however, there are needs that need to be addressed. You see, the biggest challenge of every business is cost of borrowing. All right. Which sometimes is influenced by forex as well. So to set the platform right, we should be looking at how do we address some of these things. Over the period, we realize that anytime central bank want to arrest inflation, their best target is increasing policy rates at the expense of the business people. When your borrowing rate is high, it affects your cost of doing business. And how do you become competitive when we have to do even intra-trade in Africa? We are talking about after. How beneficial will it be for us if you have been played out because of cost of doing business? So it's good, but we need to set some platforms right to help the business people to do well. That is my first impression.
At least you heard the president say that his government is committed to creating an enabling environment for businesses and also ensure that there's affordable or cheap capital for you as business folks. From how the government has fared so far, do you see this materializing?
Very well. You see, I always say governance is about leadership, and leadership is about consistency and being truthful with your words and your actions. Proud to the government coming in, they made some promises about scrapping yield levy, and although he has stick to those words, he has able to do that. Gives us some hope that his words and actions, of course, will work together for our good. Creating that enabling environment for us is an assurance. And we believe he can do that. He can do that because ABSA is able to do that. ABSA have able to partner with MasterCard Foundation, and they are giving loans to business as low as 10%. That means that when we have total government intervention in our borrowing rates, it will come down to create that enabling environment he's talking about, access to that cheap capital he's talking about. We believe in him. We watch that he's able to do it as early as possible because time is of essence to business survival.
At least he says in the meantime also that a venture capital fund will be launched. I'm sure that will at least benefit some of your members.
You see, the process of VC is not as easy as going to the normal commercial bank. It's a rudiment process you have to go to. I will wish probably a launch of it is good, but we should be looking at how do we make it flexible for business to access sex, because venture capital support, they don't only look at capital, they're also looking at technical support, which most of business need, the technical support to build the competence of businesses to be that competitive that we're looking for. We welcome such innovation, and we pray it's done as early as possible to ensure that businesses in this country will benefit from it.
Thank you so much. And that was the head of Business and Economic Development for the Ghana Union of Traders Association. I just spotted the Deputy Minister of Finance. I'm trying to approach him to speak to him briefly on what he makes of this entire event. Honorable, thank you so much for your time. So we've heard a lot from the presidency, especially with affordable credit for businesses. What's your take on this?
That is what will save us as a country. But the question we keep asking is that if government is borrowing at 30%, do you think banks will be having any incentive to lend to the private sector? And so government must make conscious effort not to crowd out private businesses. And over the last 3 months, that is what our government is doing. we are constraining borrowings on the T-bill market, and that has brought down the interest on T-bill significantly from about 28%, the 91-day T-bill from about 28% to the current 15.4%. If we are able to sustain this, and if inflation is brought down, we'll see all the positive things happening, and then businesses will have access to the credit that they need. It is not rocket science, but we believe that there has to be a deliberate intentions and actions by government to do this, so that we allow the financial institutions to lend to private sector.
But amidst all of this, lending rate is still quite high. It's true you are cutting the T-bill rates, but some have described it as artificial, because if the T-bill rates are low, inflation is still quite high, and lending rate is high. As some say, it's cost 90. What do you say?
It is a process. You don't expect the rate setting to be done overnight. And so with the current downward trend, we expect inflation to also continue to trend downwards. Once that happens, you see the lending rate also going down. And then we would have succeeded in having some sort of equilibrium. And so it is going to happen. We are. And you see, now fuel prices at the pump is also going down. We expect that if it continues, our transport unions must also be in sync and reduce lorry fares, transport fares. Once that is done, it is going to have significant impact on inflation. And you see, food inflation is the main driver of our inflation today, and it is all because of the transportation and distribution and storage of our food items. So once these things happen, we are going to see all these indices being aligned properly.
Finally, for me, on the issue of the currency depreciation, okay, so that was the Deputy Finance Minister there speaking to us basically on government's commitment to creating an enabling environment with some of the initiatives that it is implementing so far, including the cuts on the T-bill market, the rates, in order to make it unattractive to businesses and then force them to invest into the critical sectors of the economy. But I must remind you that we are coming to you live from the Kwahu Business Forum here in Kwahu at the Empraiso Social Center. The event will go on for the next 2 days, and businesses have gathered all over the country to be part of this event. We are currently entering one of the stands here, and as you can see, many of the financial institutions are here and set up their stands to interact with various businesses and to show to them what they are offering and how they are also positioning themselves to support small and medium-sized enterprises in the country with the various packages that they have up for grabs. As you can see in your shot, there are more than 10 financial institutions right here, basically provide all the various services. Not only are the financial institutions here, the government agencies that have some role to play with the business community, from the Ghana Enterprises Agency. We've seen the Ghana GEPA also here, Ghana Export Promotion Authority, the Ghana Investment Promotion Center, GIPC, also is here. Every institution that you can think about that's relevant for the promotion of locally made products and businesses are here. And interestingly too, we have international organizations partaking in this. The Afro-Exim Bank is also here to be part of the event. It shows you the scope of this particular event and the interest and the adoption from the business community, and shows you also the effort put together to push basically the local agenda, the growing of indigenous businesses as part of efforts to grow the economy, and also by extension creating jobs and addressing the issue of unemployment.
Well, you heard Michael Obodu, part of our 3 Business Desk, bringing us more details on the Kwahu Business Forum. We're going to bring you more stories after this quick break. Do stay with us.
Hello, I am Ahmed Haidar, the CEO of the Spot Furniture. I want today to speak about our company. We have all the products for the house and for the office. You have the living room, dining rooms, bedrooms, office furniture, starting from tables to chairs, center tables, wooden center tables. We have carpets for your office, for your living room, for your bedroom, all very nice designs.
If you need furniture for your homes, your offices, schools, churches, Even if you are somebody, a photographer who loves to take pictures with beautiful furnitures, I would advise that you come to the Sport Furnitures. They have beautiful furnitures for everything.
About the prices, you don't need to worry at all because we have very affordable prices. We have big promotions and we run discounts all the time. We offer a free delivery.
In more news this afternoon, every Easter, Ghanaians pack their bags, attend church services, and gather with family for joyful and unforgettable moments. While our streets are filled with hymns and hallelujahs, elsewhere, Easter comes with bunnies and chocolate eggs. We've welcomed Santa and Valentine, but not the Easter bunny. My colleague Christabel Success Trevor went looking for answers.
In Ghana, Easter is a time for road trips to the village, 3-day revivals at church, family reunions, and for some, an adrenaline-pumping adventure in the Kwahu Hills. It's a season that blends spirituality, culture, and a little fun in the sun. But scroll through social media or turn on international TV, and Easter looks a little different elsewhere. Bunnies, chocolate eggs, and pastel wonderlands. So why doesn't that version of Easter resonate here? The Easter bunny and eggs trace their root back to ancient pagan springtime celebrations, symbolizing fertility and rebirth. These traditions merged into Christian celebrations in Europe, eventually becoming symbols of Easter in the West. The bunny became the cheerful character, delivering eggs, symbols of new life, mostly to children. In Ghana, Easter centers around something different: sacrifice, salvation, and spiritual rebirth. Churches hold conventions across the country. The Kwahu Paragliding Festival brings thrill seekers and tourists alike. Families cook together, worship together, and for a few days, the country pauses to reflect and rejoice. Yet, Ghanaians have embraced other global holidays such as Valentine, Halloween, and Black Friday. Santa Claus shows up every December, Valentine's Day paints towns red, and even Halloween has carved a small niche among the urban youth. So why hasn't the Easter bunny hopped into Ghanaian culture? Is it a matter of cultural alignment, religious belief, or simply marketing, or maybe the lack of it?
Due to the church I go, because that's why we don't do. I've heard, but I've not I'm not into it like that. I've not heard of that before. It's never a good thing in a sense that we should also try to value our own culture. You understand? Let's do ours so that it will attract the foreigners into the country. You understand? In such manner, we are promoting our tourism.
Our culture is very beautiful, so I think we should promote our own. So like I always talk about those things, that our big men, our honorables, they should do something about our tourism aspects. We should do our own thing in our own way. Yeah, I love our kente so much, but our big men will be wearing those coats. Oh.
Lecturer and formator at St. Peter's Regional Seminary, Reverend Father Emmanuel Abekwe, believes if this celebration adds on to the message of Easter, it is not wrong to be celebrated.
It is up to the Christian church to be able to teach and evangelize people to come to know the spirit of Easter. It is good for families to be together. And if Easter facilitates that, then these traditions of traveling, of meeting families and friends is good when Easter comes around. And it's not just about traveling. If the travels will bring friends together, will bring families together, will bring people together in order to reconcile with one another, in order to forgive one another the hurts, the harm they have done to people, then Easter will be a good celebration in Ghana.
Some vendors say business during Easter booms.
And yet to say first, but say, yeah, honestly, one crankra, and yet too much, dear. But say, and you say what's walk.
While Ghanaians have made space for Santa and Cupid, the Easter Bunny remains a foreigner. Christabel Success Trevor, TV3 News, Accra.
Well, Judith, how is your Easter celebrations going? Are you having fun?
It's just been work, actually.
I know, same here.
I'm not at work right now. Right. We'll be at work tomorrow.
Well, Charlie, how time flies. That's how we end today's edition of Weekend Central. It came to you live from the news app here at Adesawe Kanda. For more news updates, just log on to our website, it's 3news.com. Also follow us on Instagram, TV3.gh for all the latest updates. My name is Josh Queenie.
And I am Judith Brown. A pleasure coming to you always. Have a good afternoon.